Well, you know it's Age of Sigmar, and you know that it's pretty cool. We don't condone any forms of violence unless it's Warhammer. Well, that's a duel. A duel between roughly equal armies, a set of dice, and some simple rules. It's a gentleman's agreement when two armies take the field. Will it be Andy's annoying dwarves or my heroic beasts spend the tie wield? Will it be my expertly painted ogres or Andy's shoddy painted zombie spammed undead? I've never even played my dark elves, or it might be Andy's boring Sigmarines instead.
Well, you told me that was going to be a short song. I feel like I was misled. Well, hello, folks. These are turbulent times we're living in. There's very turbulent weather going on right outside my window. But the one thing you can always count on is the Andy and Rem show. I believe this is episode 22 now, without a break. We're here, whatever the weather. So, obviously, there's been some very big news this week. But before we get to that, let's have our usual bit of audience interaction here. So I put up a little contest in the comments as soon as I put this video up. The first comment was going to win an internet cookie. So that internet cookie goes to WasGob. So that means that after this show's over, everyone else has to just delete their internet cookies. But he's allowed to keep his because he wins. And Plastic Sturgeon came in second, but unfortunately does not get a cookie because there are no prizes for second place in wargaming or in life. Also in there, we've got James Maybury, we've got Darth Plagueis 101, we've got Dieter, we've got Remy Tremblay, we've got Dead Gamer, we've got Gloom Dready Gaming, we've got some joker called Remington Steels posted about 8 times in a row. I don't know who that guy is. We've got Sebastian Blau, we've got Graham Rigg. Right, I think that's everyone that's commented. So, Mr. Rem, how are you this week?
I'm great, man. I'm really I'm not too bad. I've been taking my vitamin supplements every day. And outside I can hear Hurricane Barney, which is probably the first named storm we've had in England for a long time. But there might be a few fences getting pulled down right now.
I think it's something to do with Sigmar and the realms. Maybe 2 realms have come too close together, and it's causing a bit of turbulence. That's an interesting hat you've got on there, by the way.
Oh, yes, it's the Miami Heat. I've also not washed my hair for a few days, and it's starting to itch.
Well, that explains it there. It does look like that basketball. It was so hot going through the hoop that it just melted.
So I was just want to apologise, firstly, for my terrible song, which took me about half an hour to write. But and secondly, I want to apologise for all the boring pictures I rambled through last week.
Have you watched it back?
Yeah, I watched it back. Lots of photos of bridges around Brooklyn. But thanks for sticking it out. And of course, you did ask about how the trip went. So I only.
Well, I feel like anytime either of us goes on a trip now, we have to take extensive photography of any bridges or any kind of architecture that has like archways in it or girders or anything, because people are thirsting for that now that you gave them the first taste.
And speaking of events, wow, we've got a real special one coming up on this Friday.
We do.
It's been coming a long time, fans. It's been coming a hell of a long time. But we're just going to do a special show. You know, we're going to do some video in there, pictures, little tours. And we're going to go to Warhammer World, head to head. Me versus Andy. Tables been booked. We can have a look around Bugman's Bar, around Forge World, around all the display cabinets. But if there's something you guys out there would like us to do, any kind of pictures, poses, video clips, or interviews you think we can do while we're there?
Well, Dreddy says #we want the bridge. So I'm thinking that if there are any bridges on the way there, we're going to have to take some pictures.
There are, but they're significantly smaller than the ones in the States.
Well, we'll just have to take pictures of a lot of them then, won't we? Or just a lot of pictures of the same one.
They're more like humps.
So, as that is coming up, I'm obviously going to have to take my dwarves, because that's the only army that's large enough and is actually made up of Games Workshop models, because most of my undead are mantic. But which of
What do you mean we can't take our own? We can't take any models?
well, you can only take Games Workshop models.
They won't care, will they?
It does actually say in their official terms for going down there and playing,
Get out of
you
it.
can only use painted and based Games Workshop models, it says.
I can sneak in the odd figure or two. They won't even know.
I'm sure you'd be able to sneak in the odd Minotaur if you wanted to do that, but speaking of Mr. Rem's miniature collection, which of his multiple armies do you think he should actually bring with him? Which one or two armies, perhaps? So do you want to give people the options now?
Yeah. Now, hold on. Of England? No, England haven't just scored. Okay, sorry. I'm just checking out the England game the second time at the same time. Well, you've seen my Beastmen. They're ready to roll. That's the army I'm most experienced with playing. But I've got some wonderfully painted ogres, as my song alluded to, which would be pretty cool to give them a little outing. I've also got my halflings. I've also got dark elves. I've got wood elves. I've got a legion of dwarves as well, old school 80s dwarves. And what else have I got? And I've got my vampire counts, which I've never played, but I've got a whole host of them. I've got a sort of a minimum strength unit vampire counts army. I've got a bit of everything in there, but I've not got a terrorgeist, having said that. So, yeah, ogres, beastmen, vampire counts, newly painted orcs and goblins. Nearly forgot about them. Take your pick, guys. Which army or two should I bring?
Yeah, because we'll probably get time for 2 games, I would think, because we have got a table booked for quite a few hours.
Yeah.
So unless we get really bogged down arguing over the finer points of the rules, because we're so highly competitive and it's just going to be so charged in there, and the atmosphere is going to be so tense because we desperately want to win so much. It could go on all day, that one first game. I don't know, though. So, audience, let us know. Who should Rem bring? We've had the first nomination. Sebastian Blau says Dark Elves. And then he says, nope, never mind, vampires. So he seemed like he was being decisive there, but then immediately changed his mind and went for vampires.
I know the feeling, my friend.
So,
Florida Strippers. Dead Gamer says Florida Strippers. That's a great idea. I'd love to bring them, mate. I don't have the cash right now, but if you'd like to contribute, send it to Remington's Stripper Fund.
Is that an official registered charity?
Yeah, and make sure it doesn't go to Andy, because he'll end up buying tea and biscuits with him.
I don't even like tea.
Pardon?
I don't even like tea.
Coffee.
That's just slander.
Cup of soup, whatever you drink.
So before we get to the big announcement this week, well, that was a big announcement for us. And actually, someone asked what day we're going. Shall we tell them, even though we might get swamped by legions of adoring fans?
Say again?
Do you think we should tell them which day we're going? Because people are asking.
I don't know. Look, it'd be great to meet you guys out there, but personally, I just want to have a proper game with Andy and show him who is the tactical genius in this.
Well, I suppose if we tell them, now that we've just said that, if they turn up and try and hog the whole day and just want endless streams of autographs, then we'll have grounds to complain, won't we? Because we warned them beforehand. Shall we tell them?
Yeah, all right, Ed. All right, but look, if we're in the middle of a game, you just politely say hello. We'll give you the autographs, and just wait till we're finished before you bombard us with questions and interviews and photograph opportunities. Okay?
The best time to actually get an autograph is when we're outside of Warhammer World, because then we can charge you for it without getting in trouble.
But if you've got any lady friends, feel free to interrupt and introduce.
You can always rely on Rem. So before we get to any of the juicy GW announcements, there is one release that we haven't looked at yet that's Age of Sigmar related. So I'm going to screen share it right now. And what do you think of this bad boy?
Oh my God, that is amazing. Wow.
It's a round tape measure, but no, it's not called a tape measure. It's called a range finder. And it's £20 for one.
Wow, I don't know how I can go on living without having a closer look.
I mean, look at that.
Well, that is pretty sick, though.
Look at that beautiful artwork on every single inch. Each
No.
one is unique.
I think it's only on the first 2 inches, 3 inches. That
Oh, is it really?
look, there's nothing after number 3.
I don't know. There might be. You can't really tell, can you? They haven't got a 360. Oh, look, let's see. Yeah, it looks like there isn't too much between 3 and 5 there. So maybe there is only that beautiful inlaid artwork on the first 2 inches. That would be a bit of a disappointment, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Well, what do you think? Are you going to be getting one?
No. I might just go down to my local shop and just buy one for like £4.
I don't know, though. When we're at Warhammer World, you might see one of these on the shelf and just be inspired. You'll be basking in Sigmar's light by the statue.
Having been there a couple of months ago with my ex-girlfriend, you do have a tendency to want to buy something when you're in there. And I bought a book, one of the novels, but I was so tempted to buy some of the Forge World stuff, and I think I might have to buy something, even though I don't really want anything more on my paint table right now, because I'm like the slowest painter in the world as it is. But even so, I'm probably going to be buying something there. I doubt if it's going to be the tape measure, though.
Yeah, but look how golden it is.
I like it how you're moving it around to try and tempt me with the golden glisten and shine.
Like, just imagine it going, oh, oh. Look at it. I don't know how you can possibly resist.
If it was a £5, I'd buy it.
Well, you could say that about a lot of GW products, though, couldn't you?
Like £10 maximum.
And considering that's really all we've got to talk about from Age of Sigmar releases, should we just have a look at the front page and see what's dominating over there right now?
Now, I've seen paints there. I heard some rumour on the gossip columns about some paint lines being discontinued.
Well, if you look at that gigantic new shade size.
Wow, that's great.
But I heard someone complaining about the lid, actually, online.
Let's have a look.
So I don't know whether there is an actual issue or whether someone was just being...
Oh, they might have been referring to the airbrush ones, because Citadel brought a line out of airbrush paints, but they're not in droplet lids. They're in those lids. So
yeah.
if they're not droplets, how on earth do you get them into your airbrush? Do you pour it in or siphon it in with a Citadel tube?
The Citadel tube. I'm sure they haven't brought that one out yet. But yeah. I'm all for wash pots being bigger because I do get through them at an alarming rate.
Yeah, me too, big time.
On the other hand, though, what is the kind of paint that gets knocked over the most? I would say it's washes. And when it's taller, that means it's going to have a higher center of gravity. So it's going to be even easier to knock over. So maybe that's their plan all along.
Right. And that Niblet green, I've not seen that before.
I believe that's been there for a while.
Oh. Okay.
Oh, it's the time of year when they tell you what would make a great gift as well. So let's have a look at that. Well, yeah, that's just a stocking filler, isn't it? Backpack and crusade case, £130.
That's so geeky, man.
Can you imagine Santa stuffing a few of those?
If you see someone walking down the street like that, they're gonna get pulled over for looking like a terrorist.
Now, is there anyone that you spend £81.65 on for Christmas?
Not anymore.
With paintbrushes?
No.
Would you spend that much on a set of paintbrushes?
No, but I probably have done over the last couple of years.
Would you spend £65 on a Visions 12-month subscription?
No. No.
Oh, if you get a White Dwarf binder, that's only £10. I don't know. I don't know what it actually entails.
That water pot is £10. I thought it was a Warhammer mug. I was going to say, okay, a mug's maybe worth £10, but is it a water pot?
I think you could probably use it as a mug, but it says water pot.
Yeah.
£10. But it's got Citadel written on it with a big shield.
Can you enlarge it? Let's have a look.
Let's have a look at it.
It is a mug.
It's practically a mug, but there's probably some kind of legal reason why you can't use it as a mug, and if you do, then they're not liable.
I think I'd be tempted to buy that if it had a big goblin or orc's face on it. If you're going to call it the Warg water pot, let's have an orc on it, not just a boring Citadel emblem.
But it's green as well. You can't get much more wild than that. And then look at that size.
Oh, that's all right. Let's have an orc face on it though. Come on, let's be bold.
Well, let's see. I think that was pretty much it. So, do you think any of those make sweet gifts?
There's the ultimate project box. What was that at the top? So what do you get?
Well,
What do you get with that?
funny you should ask, because look at the incredible value on offer here for only £215 and 35 pence, because £215 wasn't enough. You get a couple of files. You get the Citadel exclusive snippy things that are much more expensive than any other brand, as far as I'm aware. You get the pin vise. It looks like you get some extra bits in there as well. You get a mold line removal tool.
I've got that. That's quite good, actually, that one.
You get the palette pad, which has a demon dancing on it, apparently.
Which is basically just a paper pad, right?
You get that thing.
What's that?
You get glue.
Yeah.
All kinds of glue. For only £215.
What about, did you get some paints with it?
Let's see.
Because the first picture had a bunch of paints on it.
You get the Citadel Project paint set, which includes all these colours. All those. So you get plenty of paints in there as well.
To be fair, that's everything you need to get going, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. If you're completely new to the hobby, maybe you want to invest £215 to get started.
But you get the paint holder, don't you? That's cool. You put your paints in a little tray thing so they don't fall over.
I'm not sure. I didn't see anything about that.
Sure you do.
I don't think you get a paint rack. It doesn't look like it.
You do on the picture.
Let's see.
No,
well, yeah, it does look like it. Maybe that's just part of the paint set. That.
No, that must be...
That little insert, maybe that comes with the paints, that little rack.
Oh.
Perhaps. Well,
you get a smaller version, don't you? £125, the project paint set.
That's if you only want to undertake a single project rather than a single ultimate project, I suppose. So it makes sense.
Right. So, you buy the Age of Sigmar starter box for 70 quid, isn't it? And then you've got to buy that if you're a starter. So £300 gets you going in the hobby. Too bad, is it? It's not too bad to start a brand new hobby. You could buy that on spend that on a set of golf clubs, couldn't you? Easily.
Yeah, you certainly could. You could actually melt down the golf clubs
for a year, easy.
So, shall we get on to some of the juicy stuff this week then?
Go on then.
In fact, let's go back to the audience, see what they're saying about all those wonderful products, and see if anyone's told you what army to bring. Most people are saying dark elves and vampires. So they want you to turn to the dark side, really.
It would be a nice change, but I think the games will be somewhat slower, being vampire counts. Plus, I don't know the rules for them, so I'd have to read them and constantly annoy you with questions.
Yeah, with the vampire counts, you do have the bonus, though, that I know a lot of the rules for them.
And I can do loads of summoning, right? Can I summon my beast horde? Right?
You could summon untold models onto the table that can dish out tremendous damage.
I've got a vampire counts. I think you've got that model too. It's a cyborg miniatures necromancer. So I take quite a lot of delight in taking that model and see if it falls under the radar of the Games Workshop police.
Well, I think it's all going to be fine as long as a little Timmy doesn't walk past and say, "Mummy, what's that model? I want it." And then she says to a friendly member of staff, "I'd like to buy that model, please." And they look, "Oh, I'll just get out."
Oh shit! As well. Oh, the other thing is, I've got loads of Mantic zombies. Just remembered.
Yeah, vampire counts might be out then.
Oh,
they might have to be dark elves and then something else.
Amazing though. I've got to admit that the paint work on the army is stunning. So,
yes, actually, speaking of Mantic, I'm just about to start painting some ghouls. Actually, Mantic ghouls. They're just in the flesh color at the moment. Got about 17 of them, which I'm going to be using for Age of Sigmar and Kings of War.
Cool.
Handy like that.
I think Dark Elves are pretty cool. I've got. Should I tell you what I've got? Well, you're going to prepare for it, aren't you? If I tell you what I've got.
Well, you know, I am a tactical genius. Any piece of information gets locked in my brain permanently, and I'll plan everything around it.
Well, like most of my armies, I like a bit of everything. So I've got a bit of everything in that army. So I'm thinking now. I'm thinking ogres and vampire counts. My ogres are just comedy army. They're going to be fun.
Have you got enough in the vampire counts without the zombies?
I've got a bunch of skeletons. I've got some old GW skeletons, which I really like. They look like the ones out of Jason the Argonauts. I've got some Graveguard. I've got some converted crypt horrors. I've got some Vargheists. I've got Conrad von Karstein. I've got some of the kind of spectral horsemen with the scythes. Can't remember what they're called.
The Hex Wraiths.
Yeah, Hex Wraith. I don't have any knights, which I would have liked to have added to that army. And I've got a Wraith. And I've got some, those cloud of invisible ghosts. I've got some ghosts. What do you call them? Can't remember.
Spirit hosts.
I've got some spirit hosts. They're quite interesting. I've got some bat swarms somewhere, but I've not painted them up yet. It could be interesting still. It's enough for an Age of Sigmar battle. It's enough. I don't know if I've got enough hard hitting troops really to do you any proper damage. And of course, without the zombies, that's the kind of that's the summoning rank and file of a vampire count, isn't it? So
now, before we discuss the major news, I'm going to just show people a sneak preview of something that I've almost finished painting.
Wow.
That is Kings of War related. And that was a goblin mincer just mincing by there.
Oh.
So, we've danced around it long enough. Shall we sink our teeth into the meat of this week's discussion? Because GW announced specialist games are coming back. What? Did anyone see that one coming? No. I imagine some of the people with inside sources probably did, but it's not something that was really on our particular radar, was it?
Not at all. I mean, everyone thought they were dead and buried. And it's funny because last week I was talking about Age of Sigmar being a reboot, and it just seems like, like Batman's been rebooted a couple of times, Superman's been rebooted, it looks like Warhammer's been rebooted, and now the sideline games have been are going to get rebooted. Are they going to be using the old miniatures, the old lead miniatures for things like Blood Bowl, Necromunda, and Mordheim, or are they going to be bringing out new ranges? That's the question.
Well, yeah, that is the question, exactly how they're going to handle it, because if you look at something like Space Hulk, they've had numerous iterations of that with new models every now and then they just keep finding more in the warehouse and just releasing the same one multiple times in a limited run. So could they potentially do something similar with all the other games? New models for something like Necromunda would probably go down very well. Or are they just going to start basically supporting those dead systems and just release rules updates, occasional new models for them, and then sit on the range that was already there? Or is it just going to be a complete relaunch of those ranges?
Well, as the resident guy who knows what he's talking about, Andy, are these games quite hard to get into?
Well, with the old rules, some of them are difficult, some of them not so difficult. Gorka Morka would be an example of one that I found incredibly easy to get into. Did you ever play that?
No, I haven't played any of them. I had a little stint of Blood Bowl on the PC, but I got bored with that quick.
So you never played...
Got some Blood Bowl halflings.
You never played Space Hulk, Epic, Inquisitor, Necromunda, Battlefleet, Gothic?
And I don't have any friends who are into this stuff.
You never played yourself on the kitchen table?
No. But I have played with myself numerous times, and even played myself at Warhammer Fantasy Battle. I did a full tabletop battle against myself. On one side I had my halflings, on the other side I had the beastmen. And
if you want to see a video of Rem playing with himself, go over to his channel. Yeah,
it's the ultimate sad man, But that's the lengths I'll go to bring you guys content.
Now, back in the day, I think the game that I spent the least amount of time on, other than Zero, because I never touched the likes of Battlefleet Gothic, for example, but the one that I just really skimmed over and only played a little bit of was Inquisitor, which is the one where they had the larger scale models and forced everyone to buy a load of new terrain. And then as soon as they were getting to grips with it, oh yeah, we're not going to be supporting this or selling it anymore. Now that you've just bought all this terrain for a completely different scale. But it did work okay with Necromunda terrain. It was just people would bump their heads sometimes. But the one memory that comes out for me with that was that you were supposed to make the games more narrative. You only had a couple of models per side, generally, and it was supposed to be built around the story. And for some reason, whenever I was introducing the game to my friends, whenever I was giving them the backstory for the little game they were about to play, I would always begin the description with "dig this, you crazy cats," for some reason. That just sticks in my mind. So if I start playing again, I may go back to that because it seemed to draw them in. I'm not sure whether it harmed the atmosphere at all. I'm going to go with no. I can imagine people saying that in the 41st millennium.
Now, the game that came out predominantly when I got back into Warhammer was Dreadfleet, and I must admit it looked really cool. You know, a game in a box, and except you did have to paint all the different ships, and it looked kind of cool, you know. But I don't think it really hit off too well, did it?
I don't believe that one did too well.
No.
Some of the others were successful in their day. Gorkamorka, tons of people playing that. I remember going into a store, everyone was playing that all the time.
Was it about orcs and goblins, that?
It was orcs, space orcs, on their trucks going around in a kind of Mad Max style.
Yeah.
And they had crazy rules in there, like if the model actually falls off the vehicle, then it takes damage. And in the store, they insisted that whenever you turned a corner, you had to make a screeching sound, otherwise you weren't allowed to turn.
Who would you be fighting against? Like,
other orcs.
Okay.
They brought in other races as well, like the Rebel Grots.
Oh,
kind of a mutant faction as well, but it was mostly just orcs.
Cool, man.
It was.
I've got a newly painted Orcs and Goblins army that includes all the comedy Orc and Goblin units. So if anyone thinks I should bring that, try them out against Anders' miserable moaning dwarves. You know, I've got the Snotling attack wagon. I've got the Doom Divers. I've got a big boss on a spider. Could be quite funny. I don't know. Tempting. War Riders.
I do think that would be good, actually. Dwarves against orcs. They are classic enemies, aren't they? Dwarves against the greenskins.
Yeah, I don't really have any shooting in that army, though, so I think I might be dead by turn 2.
It depends what I bring, doesn't it? If I bring multiple organ guns, you might.
It's all obvious what you're going to bring in it. It's a bunch of organ guns, bunch of engineers to make sure they never miss, some cannons, and loads of gunmen.
It's possible that could feature in my list in some small way. Now, back to Gorkamorka, the models for that, it was just before they completely changed how the Space Orcs looked. Because I don't know if you remember when they suddenly gave them really huge heads and gigantic like metal jaws on the outside of them, and they became just much bigger and beefier, the orcs. They were just before that, so some of the Gorkamorka orcs have unfortunately tiny heads, especially some of the truck drivers in particular.
When you go to the Forge World shop, there's loads of like grot guys on these various wagons and tanks and things. I wonder if they originally from Gorkamorka or not.
I don't believe so.
They look amazing, man. I'm so tempted to get them. They're kind of like little Nazi grots inside these tanks.
The grot tank is quite a funny model.
Yeah.
But speaking of Forge Worlds, well, that seems to be who is going to be handling these games. And I don't think that necessarily means they're going to be in the Forge World resin material, because I did read somewhere that they'll have access to all the plastic molding tools and everything. So they will be able to do it in the traditional plastic style that we're used to from GW products. It's just not made by their main design team.
Right. Well, I think one thing you can be guaranteed then is that it's probably going to be quite expensive. Because they're probably anticipating, a lot of people have already got a bunch of models ready to use. So, you know, they'll probably just bring out some awesome looking ones that are really expensive that the niche players will buy. That's my prediction.
the two that everyone are probably going to go nuts for the most, I would guess, I could be wrong, but I think Mordheim and Necromunda are the two that people have been itching to see the most. And as far as I'm concerned, I played quite a bit of Necromunda back in the day. Not a huge amount, more than I played Inquisitor, definitely.
Or will they just bring out, starter box sets for these games? Blood Bowl box, game in a box, Mordheim game in a box, you know?
They may well do. With something like Mordheim, you can use a lot of different miniatures, though. From the Warhammer range, even.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they'll do that. I think they'll bring out new starter boxes for them. Makes sense, doesn't it? But someone's mentioned scenery and stuff. Like when we go to Warhammer World, there's like about 50 tables there, all covered in scenery, and there's some brilliant tables that hopefully, if there's not too many geekoids that have taken up the tables, we can get some good ones there. The one that looks especially good is the desert one, which might be a bit odd with the armies we're bringing, but it would be kind of cool to play out there still.
Well, let's be honest now. What are the chances of running into any geekoids at a place called Warhammer World? Come on now. That's crazy talk, man.
One thing I'm pretty excited about is going to see the gallery. You know, going to see all the. I think it's an extra £8, but you can come in and out of it.
Stamp your hand.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing a little video for you guys about that, showing you what they've been doing over the past couple of years. They've been renovating it, so I imagine there's going to be a load of what do you call them? Scenarios? No, vignettes. No, it's going to be loads of like painted armies, but already like in the middle of a battle.
Dioramas.
Dioramas, that's the word. Yeah, there's going to be loads of dioramas. But the one I really want to have a close look at and take a bunch of pictures of is the Bretonnian army, because those Bretonnian models, some of them are fantastic, and they
Don't get too attached to those Bretonians, though.
Exactly.
Pretty sure you're never going to see them again. But actually, there's an interesting point. If they're going to be supporting old, extinct game systems and bringing them back, does that mean that we could see maybe a reboot of an 8th edition style rulebook, even? That would be interesting.
No way.
That would kind of chop the feet off from the whole 9th Age crowd, wouldn't it? I think. Yeah.
And speaking of 9th Age, I spent a good minute or so slagging it off last week, and this week Warhammer Weekly did a special feature with Once Bitten, who's become one of the writers for 9th Age, and yeah, I watched it, and it was like, well, you know what I mean? Fair enough. These people love 8th edition, and they've rebooted it in their own fashion. And if you loved playing 8th edition, you love pushing around big blocks of miniatures and having ridiculous rules for how they moved and everything. Well, that's fair enough, man. And a point was raised about there's 3 types of war gamers out there. I think is Timmy one of them?
I believe it was, yes.
3 names, and we decided we're gamers for fun, really. We like to see a dwarf slayer defeat a giant, whereas the competitive player, wants to win at all costs. Or you've got the kind of player that wants to show off their intelligence by winning against all odds and showing you that they can be the underdogs. There's something there for everyone now. I think a lot of these people that are going to 9th Age perhaps spoke too soon. They were already writing off Age of Sigmar before the game came out. And within a week of it coming out, they'd already written it off as a dead game for simpletons, which I think is disappointing.
Yeah, the life of Age of Sigmar as well seems to vary greatly depending on location. In some places, apparently, they're just going nuts for it, and there's people playing it everywhere. And then in other places, it's completely dead. So I think it is kind of that herd mentality.
Yeah.
As soon as a couple of people start playing it, others will see, yeah, that's kind of fun, and they'll latch onto it. But if everyone in that particular area says, no, that's terrible, I'm not even going to try it, then everyone gets the idea in their head that it's terrible.
And they mentioned some of the major world gaming conferences, if you like, one of them being ETC, has chosen 9th Age to be its game that they're going to play. and a couple of the others in America have chosen Kings of War as the game they're going to be playing in their yearly contests. So, I think Age of Sigmar has got to win over a lot of the old school people still.
I do think, though, that the effect that those tournaments have on the general population is minimal at best. I mean, it seems like everyone in the community knows about them, but that's just because there are a few YouTube channels that mention them that have quite a few subscribers.
Right.
In terms of the people that actually play in those kind of serious tournaments, that's only a very tiny percentage of all the gamers, isn't it?
Yeah. And, it looks like Anthony from the Sustainable Centre making a big comeback because he's taking on Ninth Age and he's giving it a go because he's that competitive gamer or that gamer that wants to, play seriously. So, fair enough, man. But I'm just looking forward to playing Age of Sigmar at the minute. I'm looking forward because it's been ages since I had a game. And, I really shouldn't be on this show unless I'm playing the game.
Well, you're going to be playing some games very shortly.
Yeah.
Now, we've had some new audience members drop in while we've been talking. We've got Idic Beer, we've got J Root, we've got Mr. Pezapoo, but he's under the Dark Ops name, which is the name of his new laser cut terrain company. So you should check them out. I think I don't know if they've got a website at the moment, but they're definitely on Facebook. Who else is new in here? Stu Gibson has popped in. I'm not sure if he was there earlier. But Pez is asking if he missed anything. And yes, you missed some sizzling hot discussion about a tape measure or a range finder. That it only has decorative markings up to 2 inches.
And you all need to kind of rewind to the start of this video because I did a tremendous song in the French national anthem style.
It was quite tremendous.
Quite funny. I messed it up a bit, but I might do it again at the end.
Someone actually name dropped Lord Tremendous in the comments there. So tremendous indeed. Now, with you being controversial last week when you were saying that Ninth Age was just a load of old rubbish, essentially, I was actually going to snip out that little clip and put that as a separate video and just put Remington Steele thinks Ninth Age sucks, just to see the views roll in on it.
Yeah, do it. I'm not bothered.
But I didn't get round to doing it. And then I could do another one the next week saying Remington Steele thinks Ninth Age is okay.
Yeah, it could be like a Jeremy Corbyn retract, can't it?
And then the next week it'll be Remington Steele thinks Ninth Age is the greatest thing since Sliced. What do they have in Warhammer that's not quite bread? Sliced Undead?
Undead, it rhymes. I mean, I heard some great, just off topic for a second. Hold on, is the intro funnier than last week's? No, it's not funnier. Some of the lyrics are good, though. I've written a song about Andy's miniatures. Some of the lyrics are quite funny, so it's worth checking out. But the best news I had today was a story going around the Daily Star that X Factor is not going to be renewed after next year, which really made my day. I've suddenly had wild thoughts of, wow, we can bring back Beatles about for Saturday night. We can do a new game. We can do a new talent show called Drama Queen, where people have to act out scenes from famous movies or theatre productions and see if they can, become the next Robert De Niro.
You would have to find someone else to host Beatles about, though, wouldn't you?
Well, although Beatle bought it quite a few years ago, we can surely resurrect his gammy hand, and it can be like the Thing from Addams Family, kind of just.
You say we can surely resurrect, like, for a fact we've got technology to animate people's body parts from beyond the grave.
Like Max Headroom. Does anyone remember Max Headroom?
Yes, I'm sure people do. But I think you could probably carry on with the spirit of Beadle without actually having him there. You could just call it that in his honour and have someone else hosting it. But yeah, TV, maybe some new stuff.
Yeah, they could have Jack Jones. I don't know if you follow Jack Jones on Facebook, but he goes around annoying people, making people laugh, making people want to beat him up.
That sounds really entertaining.
I mean, I don't know. I think we're a long way off having an Age of Sigmar Saturday night show.
I don't know, actually. Because with A-listers like us, I mean, you've just been on an international tour, and you're obviously more recognised for your Age of Sigmar content than for your musical performances. So I think we're getting there.
I don't think so. I posted up a video on the Warhammer YouTuber's page of my new song, and I got 2 likes. And the song's at about 7,000 plays.
Well, you need to release a song about Sigmar.
Yeah.
When you're writing lyrics, you need to just sneak in wargaming references in there.
I write lyrics every week. I play tunes every week devoted to Sigmar, and I don't get paid for it. Andy even trying to make me perform twice every week, which I'm not getting paid a single dime for.
Well, I told you, as soon as that YouTube money starts rolling in, then you will get your cut that you've rightly earned with your musical performances. What else you bring to the table is up for debate, but you do certainly bring music. So, as far as the specialist games, if they were to just bring back all of them, nice new boxed games, new models, new model ranges for every single one they've ever done, which ones will you be looking to get into, assuming you can find anyone to play with and not yourself on the kitchen table?
I don't know. I'm not painting much anymore at the moment, so I don't want to buy a big box set where I have to paint those figures because I'm so slow at painting. You know, honestly, I've had this big boss on a giant spider, and the giant spider looks awesome, if I don't mind saying so myself. But the big boss, which is basically a night goblin, it's taking me bloody ages to finish. I find it really hard to paint small miniatures. But the bigger miniatures, I can paint them much faster. So the thought of painting a whole new box set of a new game is just no way. So the game will have to be ready to go in a box for me to be interested.
Even if it was something that only had maybe 5 or 6 models per side, like a Necromunda type game.
Well, I went in my local game shop. The guy convinced me to buy the Batman miniatures game rulebook, which is good, hardback presented and everything. He was saying, "Oh, this is a brilliant skirmish game, and you've got this pop-out scenery that you can buy and paint, and it all looks like Gotham, and you can buy like the Joker's gang, and they are pretty cool. But they're all metal, and the paint jobs that are shown in the rulebook are phenomenal. And there's no way anyone human could paint them like they do. But I just ain't got time, Andy. Do you know what I mean? My phone's going off the hook with girls constantly asking me to see them. I've got record labels asking me to go out and tour every. I've got kids at work asking me to, write songs for them and meet their parents and stuff at the school where I work. I'm a busy man. I don't even have time to paint anymore. I've had to shift around a load of things just to meet you on Friday for Warhammer World. I just told everyone where we're going.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
No, you didn't say anything. People missed it. You'll be fine.
You're not watching anyway. They're trying to paint. We're just background musings.
Now, you mentioned the Batman miniatures game, and in terms of other companies, a lot of them are kind of filling the void that GW abandoned by getting rid of the specialist games with the small skirmish games. There's tons of them out there. There's more than there's ever been at the moment. But if GW are going to bring back these big hitters in the skirmish game, they're kind of legendary, aren't they? Your Mordheims and your Necromundas. Are the other companies going to get pushed to the side, like your Frostgraves and Infinities and those kind of games?
I think initially, like if it's like Mantic, they're going to quickly push their versions of all their games, really, because they've got to make the most of the opportunity. Okay, but I think it could bring back a lot of the older gamers, and maybe it's a sneaky move by Games Workshop to bring back some of the old school players who might then be led into Age of Sigmar.
Well, I think with Kings of War, clearly that's been pushed as the more tournament fantasy game. Yeah, that one, your favourite game. That's been pushed more towards tournament players, whereas Age of Sigmar is more for casuals. Do you think these smaller companies will have to differentiate themselves slightly? Because if GW, who are obviously the big dogs, if they've got a game that fills exactly the same gap in the market that one of these smaller companies are trying to inhabit, they could get pushed out, couldn't they? If they don't aim at a slightly different audience. I know Frostgrave's doing very well at the moment, but if Mordheim were to come back, if that comes back with a bang,
how big was
Mordheim all over the place, that could just disappear.
Big.
Frostgrave.
Was Mordheim big?
It was very popular, as far as I'm aware. I didn't play it. I think it was mostly big when I was out of the hobby for a while.
Right. You've ever played it then?
I have not played it.
Right.
Gorkamork is the one I'm looking forward to the most, just because it was the most casual and with really simple rules. If they want games with simple rules like Age of Sigmar, you could apply those kind of rules to Gorkamorka and keep the same fun factor.
Well, what makes you think they're bringing that one back?
Well, it could be any of them, really, couldn't it? But if they were to bring back all of them, that would be the one I would be eager to get my hands on.
They're focusing too much on fantasy. Don't underestimate the other stuff. They're going to be bringing back all the 40k games.
Well, Gorkamorka is a 40k game.
Exactly. Gorkamorka, Space Hulk, probably Blood Bowl. And I think they're only going to bring back one fantasy game. So,
well, you can argue that Blood Bowl is a fantasy game. It's just kind of an alternate fantasy, isn't it? It's not. Yeah. I'm not sure it really fits in with the old world particularly.
Did you play Blood Bowl?
I played a few games of Blood Bowl back in the day. I don't think I ever actually painted the models. I had Chaos though, back when they were Chaos Warriors and Beastmen in the same team and in the same army back then as well, and it was fun. But the one problem I always had with it was that it took so long doing a turn, and then you have to reset the teams at the end, which is why I started to prefer Dreadball in the end. When that came out, because it was just a much faster version. But maybe if they redo Blood Bowl, maybe they'll tweak it. Maybe they'll tweak all these games, or they could just release them exactly as they were and make a boatload of money either way. But if they're dedicating a whole new branch of a studio to designing these games, surely they're not just going to bring them out exactly as they were.
Right.
It would seem like a waste, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So back to our trip to Warhammer World, have we got any responses from our audience about what they would like to see us content-wise produce for you for next week's show from Warhammer World? Already said we're going to be playing a couple of games there.
Yeah, they want you to bring the orcs.
They want to bring the orcs. All right. We've got, there's Bugman's Bar there. There's the gallery. There's all the shops there. Do you want us to interview some staff if they let us?
I don't know if they'll do that.
Would you want to see Andy defecate on the Sigmarine statue outside the Games Workshop?
I think people would want to see that, but the public don't always know what they really want.
Should we storm the offices and try and see what's coming? Should we try and sneak in the actual factory bit and take some insider photographs of the casting machines?
So what you're really asking is, should we break the law for your entertainment? I'm leaning towards no on that one. Although if you want to climb on top of the Sigmarites' shoulders and get a picture taken, I'll happily take the picture.
No one's really interested, are they? They're all just painting.
Well, people are commenting away, actually. More people saying that they want orcs. Darth Plagueis 101 really wants to see orcs there.
All right, cool. I just need to base my orc on a wyvern then. And then I've got something I can field then.
Well, you got a few days. Also, tell me which dwarf units you think I should take, because it's going to have to be the dwarves. So, what should I take? Should I just take Endless War Machines and just completely evaporate all his units from the table?
Well,
I don't know if evaporate's really the right word. Maybe if I have any steam.
I'd love to see a bunch of Slayers. Loads of them.
Well, I've only got 2.
Wow. I've got about 30. And the other thing is, all my armies are on square bases.
Well, mine will be on square bases as well, so you won't be alone.
Okay. So, I've also, in the pipeline, I've got a Chaos Force going. Done my Manticore. I've done Skillet Anglefim. I've got some Plague-ridden Chaos Warriors. I've got some of the Chaos guys riding those two-footed, like snake-like beasts. They're really well painted, if I don't mind saying. They're not quite enough for a full fleet. I've got Wulfric the Wanderer. Got about 50% complete army on the way there. But I need to get gaming with these games, with these armies. Otherwise, I'm going to have to start selling them for quick cash. It's
How could you?
the worst time to sell your armies right now. This could be a little thing we could talk about, but You know, if you want to buy or start a new army up, now's the time because they're going really cheap.
If you want to buy, now is the time. If you want to sell, you should probably wait. And then if anything happens in the future, like GW suddenly bring out a rule book for massed block-based fantasy battles again, then that would be the time to sell, definitely, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think you'd get more money for any army if you got them on round basis. I think the value of them would go up. However, you've got to spend the money to then convert them. On the other hand, if you keep your armies on square bases, they can be used for Kings of War then. They can be used for Ninth Age or Age of Sigmar. So, you know what I mean? Do we stick with square or do we go round?
There are lots of companies doing movement trays that have round slots in them as well. So you can use them for multiple games, even if you have your models on round bases.
What, big round bases?
I'm sure they can do whatever you want, really, these companies, can't they, with the laser cutting, including Mr. Pezapoo's Dark Ops.
I trawled eBay, right, and I couldn't find any monster-sized round bases that were worth the money. Couldn't. Well, I need to find a big round base for this wyvern.
What size?
Well, it's what's his name? It's that orc character, the crazy one with the crown.
Azhag?
Azhag. It's Azhag, and it is stunning. But I've got no base for it at the moment. I've got the lid off a Lavazza coffee pot that I'm thinking of using that as a round base. But went to Games Workshop and they don't sell them. They don't sell the big ones.
The big base I used for my giant, the big Talos, I just bought a resin one on eBay. That was a couple of pounds, I think. So not incredible value just for a base.
Not for a couple of pounds.
No.
It was about £5, wasn't it?
We've had some suggestions on what I should take in my army. Organ guns, Pez says.
No.
Well, there's going to be at least one because it's a dwarf army, and they're not as overpowered as they were. Definitely. There's a pretty high chance that they just won't fire at all now. Let's see. Stu Gibson says, limit yourself to one war machine and one missile unit. I'm not sure about that. That seems a little light on the old missiles for my liking.
How are we going to do it? Are we going to have like... because there's no points, obviously, so how do you want to do it?
Well, I'll bring quite a few dwarves, and then we'll just start putting them on the table, one unit by one unit, and think, okay, that looks fair now. And we'll come up with some nice little narrative scenarios as well.
I mean, to be fair, Andy, in fact, all the games we've ever played, be they points-based or, just does it look right, they've all been pretty even, haven't they? They've not been completely one-sided.
I'd say so. Although, to be fair, I do have to play within myself when I play against you, of course, because I am well known as a tactical maestro in the community.
I think it'll be fun to take my orcs, see what happens with them, but I'll be a complete novice with them. And I think it'll be fun to take my dark elves as well. It's a flip-up between the dark elves or the ogres.
As long as you bring some kind of tablet device so you can have all those war scrolls nice and big so you can see them all without too much scrolling.
Yes, I've got that, no problem.
Because it's okay having it on a phone, but for one single unit you have about 4 pages to go through sometimes.
Right.
Which isn't ideal.
But, if it goes well, we can make it into a bi-monthly trip,
We could certainly try.
And
finances permitting and all that.
Your subscription money you guys are paying into, guys. If you don't know, there's going to be a little link at the end of the video where you donate £10, £15 a week. It's going to go to great content.
Yeah, we haven't gone the old Patreon route yet, like everyone else in the community seems to have done. Yeah, we're not going to talk about that too much, though, because I don't want people in the comments to just go crazy. Plastic
Surgeon says, try Rendra braces. So
I think he means Renedra.
Renedra.
They do some nice plastic bases. I'm not sure whether they do them in that kind of monster size, though. I'm sure I would have seen them when I was doing my browsing. People asking about... Oliver Charles says, what was the fantasy ship game that never really took off? And then Plastic Sturgeon answered him with Dreadfleet. So, yeah, that never did take off. But maybe they've got a chance now. Maybe they'll just release the same models, but they'll give it a nice new coat of paint or something. Because you know what they're like. They don't like thinking that a particular model range was a waste of money. Like all those big monsters that they came out with for that big Storm of Magic, was it?
Yeah.
Where you had all the big crazy stuff going on.
Yeah.
And then that didn't do so well, so they kind of held them back a bit and then thought, well, you know what, let's just make them all incredibly powerful now.
Right.
Later on. Like when they brought out the Warriors of Chaos book and suddenly you could take all these different monsters in there, couldn't you?
Yeah.
So it's possible anything that didn't do very well in the past and that maybe they want to keep use out of the molds.
So Andy, you one army?
What was that? Am I only going to be taking one army?
Yeah.
Well, I think the dwarves are the only ones that are really suitable. I'm not sure I really have enough Stormcast yet that are finished.
All right, okay.
And the undead are 95% Mantic, so I think they might just notice that there's something amiss with them.
Yeah. Okay then. Oh, I look forward to that. Is there any... Now, before the show started, I asked you, Andy, look, do you think we can make this show a solid hour instead of it going for an hour and a half or 2 hours?
Well, you said round about an hour, yes.
Yeah, round about an hour. So, what else would you like to bring up then?
Well, let's see. Well, there is this. Been painting a little goblin guy as well. You can see that he's orange. Very unpredictable. Who would have thought I would ever paint something orange?
Is that man?
A knife behind him there.
That man?
Is this what?
That man, a Mantic goblin?
Yes. I think I've got this. It might have been with my Mantic points that I built up through various Mantic purchases. I'm not sure. I think I definitely got it at the last open day. Mantic Open Day, by the way, unfortunately, I'm going to be missing the upcoming Mantic Open Day because somebody booked it on the same day as City are playing at home.
Man who? Man City?
Them's fighting words. But yeah, that was really bad planning on their part. Especially since the owner of Mantic, Mr. Ronnie Renton, is a big City fan as well. So I don't know why he would allow that.
Do you think they've done well then, Mantic? Do you think he's a millionaire now? Ronnie Renton?
Well, I think he might be if he wasn't constantly flying around the world. Because if anyone who pays attention to what he's doing on Facebook, he's constantly in a different country.
What, is he promoting Mantic?
Yeah. He seems to never actually be at home.
Wow, man. Well, fair play to him, man. They've done really well then, haven't they? They've got to that point where...
Kings of War, it's definitely taken off.
Yeah.
It's filling that void that the tournament players were looking for. A lot of them, anyway. Some of them, obviously, going for the old 9th Age approach. But it's definitely picked up a lot of new players. The Kings of War Facebook groups alone have got a huge swell in numbers. And then one thing I've started noticing is that people who did actually decide to just repurpose their Warhammer armies for Kings of War are then going on to pick up another army with Mantic models, or they're adding in Mantic models into their armies.
Yeah.
So they are actually spending money on Mantic products.
Are they bringing out new models, Mantic, or are they kind of...
Yeah. They had the Kings of War Kickstarter that they did with the new rule book that had a couple of new things in there, and there are some armies that are coming out very soon. I'm not sure whether they're Abyssals, which are like their demons. I'm not sure how many of those are out yet, but I think they're coming definitely. And there's a couple of other things, because what they want to do is, instead of just having Kickstarters all the time, they just want to be able to release just a random unit here and there and say, look, here's a new goblin, some things, and just throw them out there. So that's nice. Oliver Charles isn't pleased that I'll be missing the Mantic Open Day. He thinks it's outrageous. He also thinks it's outrageous that I painted something orange. There's two different levels of outrage, I think, for those two things. I think you need to scale one of them back a bit. So, other than Warhammer World, what have you got planned? Have you got any hobby plans at all for this week, other than basing that wyvern?
Well, I've got a day off on Thursday, so I might do that then. Yeah, I'll be prepping my army, I think. My army is choosing which armies I'm going to take. Hopefully we'll get time for 2 games. As it is, though, we might just put our armies out, have a game, and then have a rematch rather than getting a whole new army out. As things as it often transpires,
Yeah, it's going to depend how long we have, and what time the train is that I'm planning to get back, and whatnot.
Yeah, I definitely want to buy something while I'm there. I don't know, I might buy some Seraphon.
Ooh.
We'll see, but
that would be exciting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, with work's getting a bit busy. It's really busy at the minute, so I just don't know where I'm going to find the time to do this stuff. I mean, God knows, how do people do this hobby when they got kids? I don't have any kids, but if I had kids and a wife and a mortgage and stuff, some people have said that Warhammer is a luxury game and it's for people with too much time on their hands. Do you agree?
I think people with too much time in their hands can definitely throw themselves into it and fully embrace it. But I think people who have very limited time can make something of it as well. It's just you have to allocate your time differently. Because if you've got just infinite free time, you've got all that time to be painting and playing and watching videos on it and reading up on the rules. But if you are limited, those would be the people that would probably go for the commission painting services. Or maybe they just paint and they don't actually play the game. Or they don't follow the community at all. There are some people out there who actually make videos but don't watch anyone else's videos. I'm not going to name any names, but there are a few of them out there.
I mean, my advice would be to just collect one army. Collect one army, paint it, and then play. And then you're ready to go. You don't have to commit that much time to it. Now, where things fall down is when you buy a little bit of this, you buy a little bit of that, just like I did, right? Oh, I like that miniature, I'll buy that. And soon you've got bits and bobs from about 8 different armies.
Well, the good thing about Age of Sigmar, you could chuck all those in together for the most part, couldn't you?
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that really, yeah.
If you wanted to just throw in a few Seraphon with your orcs and goblins, I don't think anyone would really mind.
But yeah, a bit disappointed they haven't brought any new Seraphon models out. Are you?
Well, in one way, yes. But in another way, at least they're not making people's old armies obsolete, and they are actually giving them new rules. So instead of just having the war scrolls to keep you going until they bring out something new, they're actually saying, yep, your army's still completely fine. Here are the big new official, big fat juicy rules for using them in the game now. So they're not going anywhere. So I'm hoping they do that with dwarves, although there are some models that were a bit outdated that I would like to see new ones.
Is the book out? Is the Seraphon book out now?
The Seraphon book, I believe it's out now, isn't it?
Yeah, do you know anyone that's read it? What do people think? Anyone out there?
Yeah, if anyone's read that, let us know what you think of it, if it's actually out yet. I'm pretty sure it is.
Well, I'm tempted to buy it. I think I could get it I could get it a bit cheaper at my local store, so, I don't know. Interesting to read.
If you haven't got it by the time you're at Warhammer World, I'm sure the bright colours and the big gems on the back of dinosaurs will draw you in.
Yeah.
I can definitely see you walking out with bags full of Seraphon.
But back to sort of my quibble about selling some armies. I mean, if I did sell a bunch of armies, it would focus my hobby time a lot better because I'd just have 1 or 2 armies. You know what I mean? And I make them look amazing. And then I just use those.
Which ones would you get rid of, though?
So hard. I mean, I can't part with my dwarves because they're my oldest army. And I've got some proper vintage models, like the Goblobber, and a load of stuff from the Marauder miniatures that's probably worth a lot of money in a sensible market because you just can't get any of those figures anymore. You could probably buy them individually for about £5 or £6 per miniature, so it's worth quite a pretty penny. I don't know. It's so odd because I've invested so much time and love into each model of each of these armies.
You're never going to get back that time and love in cash form, sadly. People never pay what they were worth to you.
No, even if someone gave me £1,000 for any one of my army, I know that they're worth at least £1,000 because of the time I've spent, and they're great paint jobs. And I would have spent at least a third to half of it on physically buying them. So
Well, how about you take some really nice pictures of the armies that you might consider parting with for the right price for next week, and then we'll show the audience the pictures, and maybe someone out there will be willing to give you a good price for one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I had a conversation with Pezapu, who sold an ice ogre army that he painted up, and he got a good sum for it from this guy in America or Canada, who paid for it to be shipped over, paid everything. And I'm sure companies like Blue Table Painting will charge you at least £1,000, £2,000 for a fully painted army, right? That's bought, assembled, and painted by them. And my paint jobs are way better than what they would do, unless you were paying for the top paint jobs. So I don't know. I'd only part with them for people for the right price, man. But for the amount of money that I just wouldn't just spend like that. I'd do something special with it.
Well, we'll pitch that to the audience next week and see if anyone's interested. But we've had a comment on the Seraphon book. Stu Gibson says it isn't bad.
Oh.
And especially if you like the fluff.
Yeah.
But there are no new units in it. So for someone like you who's big on the fluff, and you're not too concerned about missing jungle swarms, who I think have completely vanished forever, they decided not to bring them back down from the heavens. They're just sitting there.
I think what they need now is how you've got these novels that come out all about kind of Khorne and the Sigmarines. I think they should have some novels about Seraphon. You know, all about them, you know, popping in and out of the realm and hiding in the spaceships and what they encounter in space. I think it'd be really cool, you know, to have a novel about these cold-blooded monsters that are good. You know, I don't think they've done that before. I don't think Games Workshop have centered any novels around the Seraphon.
In their space pyramids.
Yeah.
Here's an idea. How much would you pay for a microtransaction-based app where you're in control of a Seraphon temple in space as it's floating around, and you have to build up your little civilization of Seraphon inside there and build new rooms for them?
Yeah.
It would say, now you could build this new room in 3 days, or you could pay 49 pence and have it right now. And then they get your money that way. How do you feel about an app like that, Seraphon based?
I don't know. I think if I was on a long distance journey on a train, I might be tempted to play it. You know.
So we're giving them a red hot business idea there. So when we're at Warhammer World, we can enter some negotiations with their design team and see if they want to get on board with that and sign some contracts. I'm fairly confident. I think it's a sound idea. Let's see if anyone's had any comments before we start wrapping this one up. I'm sure
Budget of Sigmar. Yep, I've been following that a little bit. It's pretty cool. The only thing with that, Stu, is that I don't want any more models. I've got too many as it is.
Yeah, it's all very well not spending much money, but when you've already got piles of models all around the room that aren't being painted.
I mean, to be fair, all my armies were pretty much bought at bargain prices. You know, scouring eBay for days and months to get good deals, and you know, paying top dollar just for the very few individual models. So yeah, all my armies have pretty much been budget Sigmar.
I'll tell you what might be a good idea, actually. We could do our own little spin on the budget of Sigmar, where you actually buy a real Seraphon army, start painting them up.
Right.
And I try and do a Seraphon army using only really, really cheap items, for example, dinosaur toys from pound shops.
Right.
And we'll see whose army looks the best at the end for the price. What do you think?
Yeah, but I haven't got time, man.
Well, you said you've been tempted by the Seraphon, and if you're going to sell a couple of your other armies, if someone offers you a decent price.
Well, I think the thing to do, if I was going to do it, I'd just buy one model. Just buy one model.
How you go with that?
Painting model is brilliant. It's a lot of fun. Every model's a character. Everything's individual. When you're having to paint units, it's a different mindset.
Well, how about we go model versus model then? You buy a Carnosaur I buy a T-Rex from a toy shop, put it on a base, paint them up, and then see whose is the best at the end.
That's a good idea, except I'll be paying £50 and you'll be paying about...
Well, you were going to pay £50 for one anyway, whether I was joining in or not.
£50. Yeah, I'm not spending that.
Audience, if you want to see that as a regular video series, let us know. Anytime Rem buys something, I try and beat him with pound shop merchandise. I think that could be quite funny.
I think a little fun game that Warhammer community members could make up. When I was a kid, I used to play Top Trump cards, and I had Top Trump horror cards. And they were brilliant, and you had like Devil Priest and Dracula, and all these stats. And there was a prehistoric monsters one, and there was a Western gunfighters one. How cool would it be to have an Age of Sigmar Top Trumps? And you could have different packs for different races. Kind of cool.
Now, speaking of Top Trumps, it's actually quite a sore subject for me, because I think I could have been a millionaire if it weren't for my parents kind of hampering my dream of being a top Trump designer, because I came up with a version of Top Trumps when I was younger, which was, let's Americanize this, it was poop Top Trumps, where you rate like the smell and consistency of each one with a little rating on the card, as you would in traditional Top Trumps. And at a zoo recently, I saw that there are actually a line of them called Plop Trumps. So that product does actually exist, but when I designed them as a child, my parents said, no, that's disgusting, throw them away. And they wouldn't let me pursue it. And now it's an actual product, and the person who came up with that could be raking in the millions. So I feel like I really missed out there.
That's Andy. If I had £1 for every time I've come up with a revolutionary idea, and then found out it's already been invented.
Yeah, but that wasn't already invented, though. It was only years later it was invented. So right. I would have been first to market.
Well, someone obviously heard it and stole your idea.
Maybe they were rooting through my rubbish from when I was about 15 years old.
My final question, Andy, before I have to go.
Yep.
And we look at the final comments. What are the chances that Games Workshop are going to release a new race for Age of Sigmar, from what you've seen so far and what you believe will come in the next year or two?
Well, the Sigmarites were obviously the new thing, but are they just there as the hook to get people into fantasy, and then everything else will be kind of similar to how it was, just with them as the centerpiece to draw people in? I am not sure if we'll see any new races. I think they've already got so much to work with. I think it'd be a way off if they are going to bring anything completely new and drop it on us. Yeah,
I agree. I don't think they're going to bring anything new out now. Sigmarites are closest to Space Marines. What other 40k races are there that don't exist for Warhammer? You've got
Tau, fish people.
Yeah, Tau, but you could say the Tau are like the lizard men a bit.
Kind of, only in that they're somehow water-based.
Yeah, you've got the Necrons and you've got Undead. You've got the Eldar and you've got the Elves. You don't have Space Dwarves so much now, but you've got the Dwarves. You've got Ogres and Ogrins. You've got all the Chaos crap. You've got Demons, Orcs and Goblins.
What they could do is just release different kinds of Stormcast, though, like they do with Space Marine chapters.
It's so boring, man. Come on.
I know, but people eat it. People love it. That's what people go nuts for. Space Marines are the #1 seller by a mile, aren't they?
I don't understand why. I really don't.
It's just people who aren't in the hobby necessarily look in and think, oh my god, it's an 8-foot tall guy in power armor with a big gun. I want that.
I mean, I love all the lore around it. I mean, it's like books and books and books about the Horus Heresy and all the futuristic events, and it's fully detailed. And, it's all based around the Space Marines at the end of the day, isn't it? But there was a PC game about the Tau. I don't know if you remember it.
Fire Warrior.
Yeah. And you've been captured by the Imperium. You have to escape from the Imperial Guards and Space Marines. Pretty cool.
I think that was on some consoles as well, I think.
Right.
Back in the day. Oh, by the way, someone did just mention an army that could be Stu Gibson says, would everyone freak out if GW brought the Tyranids into Age of Sigmar? Because there's nothing like that in the world of fantasy, is there? No kind of insectoid-looking race. Which does lend itself towards sci-fi, but...
Well, you've got Nurgle. You've got Nurgle, haven't you?
Yeah, it's not really the same, though. And then the things that are unique to fantasy, you've got things like the Rat Men that you don't have in 40k.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I can't see him having any new races now. I think we're just going to get bases, round bases, repackaged. And
for the foreseeable future, at least. I think it depends how Age of Sigmar does as well. I'm sure even if they do have it planned out way into the future, they will be slightly flexible on it. Because if certain things they find are selling really well, they are a business at the end of the day, so they're going to go with what sells, aren't they?
Yeah, well, they've started with the Seraphon repackage and new books, so I think they'll go ahead and give new books. And what will happen is everything will have new books apart from Bretonia, and then they'll disappear entirely because they just don't fit in the new fluff, as far as I can see. Hopefully I'm wrong.
Wouldn't it be amazing, though, if they just brought out a Bretonia book next week and all the models were still relevant?
Yeah, of course. It would be great.
They just found them in one of the realms somewhere floating around. You can write that into the fluff, though. Anything can exist out there in one of those realms.
The Ninth Age are calling them Aquitaine. You don't know what Aquitaine is? In the medieval times, before France was France, it's provinces. And Helen of Aquitaine married King Richard the Lionheart. It was really French, to be honest. I don't think he even spoke English. And he rarely even came to England. But Aquitaine comes from a medieval province of France. And that's what Night Favor is now adopted because they're not allowed to use any of the Games Workshop names for races. So they're calling it the Beast Herd instead of Beastmen. So yeah.
Well, we've pretty much wrapped up our discussion, haven't we?
Yeah. Next week's going to be awesome. Going to have loads of content about Games Workshop and Warhammer World. It's going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be sweet. And then after that, we'll get back into our cycle of guests again. So whoever you want to see up first in the cycle, anyone, it can be someone we've already had on or someone we haven't. Let us know.
Yeah, look, this like Stu Gibson. It'd be great to have him on, or Dieter, or people that
the audience members once we properly screen them to make sure they're not lunatics. To make sure they're not loose cannons ready to unleash things that we wouldn't want unleashed on the world.
You've got to, obviously pay a subscription fee to be considered.
Yeah, actually, that should be one of the perks of the gold or the platinum membership for the Andy and Rem show. You get to appear on an episode. How does that sound, guys?
You've got to have some personality, and you've got to be prepared to make a fool of yourself. I mean, you've got to be able to sing a song and answer the questions that we pose, on the spot, inquisitor question time.
Yeah, and as far as the main talking point of the week goes, the specialist games, I think we really have to wait and see, don't we? Because just announcing they're coming back isn't really enough to go on. We need to see in what form they're going to come back and then judge them on a case-by-case basis as they trickle in, aren't we?
Yeah, they're going to trickle in. They can't just suddenly bring out 5 of the old games all at once.
Yeah,
it's going to be, I think Blood Bowl was probably the biggest game, wasn't it?
I'm not sure. It was definitely quite big at one time, though.
Right.
I'm not sure if it was the biggest. If anyone knows what the biggest specialist game was, then let us know. But that's going to have to wait for the permanent comments after the show. So if you have not liked this video, you'll be tracked down, and I'm not sure if you'll be murdered or chopped into pieces or anything, but you'll definitely be given a stern talking to. The same goes if you don't leave a comment after the show finishes in the permanent comments section, as I keep telling people to do, and some people don't do it. Can you believe that? Some people don't actually leave a comment that's there for all eternity. They just leave them in this temporary chat box, and then afterwards it's as if they never existed, apart from the ones we read out.
Leave a comment, guys. It's as good as a subscription fee. It really is. It makes us want to carry on doing the show when we see wonderful comments. It really does.
And also, if anyone would like to take us up on the platinum membership plan for the Andy and Rem show, then just send us a private message somewhere and we'll sort you out.
All right, man. Is it time for the final song?
I think it is. So I am going to prepare the beautiful specialist game themed show logo that I created this week, which I think you'll agree is quite lovely and fetching, showing us on a Necromunda gang. So let's
I like the guy in the middle. He looks great. He's
the one with the big gun. Yeah, I'm not sure about the one on the far right. The head position seems a bit off, doesn't it?
Looks like once that unit takes wounds, he's going to be the first to get knocked off.
Yeah, that one's definitely going first. So let me just check the comments quickly before you break into song. Stu Gibson says, "Anytime, lads," and then smiles at us.
Like Stu wants to be on the show. That's awesome. Send Andy a private message.
Yeah, anyone who would like to be on the show, send me a private message. And if I don't get back to you, it either means I haven't seen it or I did some digging and found out that you're actually a serial killer or something.
Oh, DJ said elemental armies. That's a great idea. That'd be interesting. So jinns. It'd be Middle Eastern people that summon jinns and spirits. Would be kind of cool.
Oh, Dead Gamer says the lizard men eventually evolve into tyranids, space lizards. That would be interesting if there was some kind of infestation on one of their space pyramids that caused them to turn into monsters. Anyway, we're getting off topic a little bit there. So are you ready to play us out, Mr. Music?
I'm ready. We're ready. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next week. Well, you know it's Age of Sigmar, and you know that it's pretty cool. We don't condone any forms of violence unless it's Warhammer. That's a duel. A duel between roughly equal armies, a set of dice and some simple rules. It's a gentleman's agreement when two armies take the field. Will it be Andy's annoying dwarves, or my heroic beastmen that I wield? Will it be my expertly painted ogres, or Andy's shoddily painted zombie spawned undead? I've never even played my dark elves. Or it might be Andy's really boring Sigmarines instead.